All right, Rose, second problem I want you to work on. It's number 3 on page 308. And again, I'll go fairly quickly because you can hit the pause. The problem I'm given is 2 times 2 cosine 77 degrees sine of 29 degrees, all multiplied together. 2 cosine 77 sine of 29. And the idea is to write it as either an addition or a subtraction problem. So I'm going to look for an identity of the form 2 times the cosine times the sine. I have one. It's the 4th identity down on page 306 in the product sum identities. I'm going to write it on the side of my paper. It says 2 times the cosine alpha times the sine of beta equals sine of alpha plus beta minus the sine of alpha minus beta. By the way, I'm looking these up as I do them because I don't have these memorized either. They're more on the obscure side. Okay, now this is a little easier because we're in degrees and we don't have to deal with common denominators. And in that original problem, 2 cosine 77 sine 29, alpha is 77 and sine is 29. And then when I plug into my identity, I get the sine of alpha plus beta. So that's sine of 77 plus 29. And I have minus the sine of alpha minus beta. So that's 77 minus 29. And of course, I didn't even bring my calculator today, but if I add up 77 and 29, I'm pretty sure I get 106 degrees. And in the second set of parentheses, if I go 77 minus 29, gosh, what's that going to be? 48 degrees? Yeah, 48 degrees. So, hey, I did it. I wrote a product as a difference. So the final answer is sine of 106 minus sine of 48. I know it sounds silly, but that's the final answer. Okay? Now, we're going to look at a couple problems. I think you're going to find these easier. These are the same identities, but in an alternate form, and these are on the bottom of page 307. And that's where you find the identities. The problem that uses this is on page 308. That's where the problems are. If I look at number 5, it's cosine 3 pi over 4 plus the cosine of 5 pi over 6. So it's in the form of cosine plus a cosine. This time we're going to do the opposite. We're going to take things added and turn it into a product, turn it into things being multiplied. So I'll write out the applicable identity for cosine plus a cosine. It's the first identity in the box on page 307, which says that the cosine of x plus the cosine of y is 2 times the cosine. We got a parentheses with a fraction in here. The fraction is x plus y over 2 times the cosine, another parentheses, x minus y over 2. I know they're like ugly. These are ugly identities, but because you can kind of look them up, they're not that bad. All right, so again, my original problem was cosine 3 pi over 4 plus the cosine of 5 pi over 6. Don't simplify them. We're just going to use the identity. The identity says 2 times the cosine, big parentheses, x plus y over 2. So it's going to be 3 pi over 4 plus 5 pi over 6, the whole thing over 2. And the cosine of the difference over 2. So 3 pi over 4 minus 5 pi over 6, the whole thing over 2. Again, you got fractions within fractions, which is not the best, but we can certainly simplify. So I have to add up 3 pi over 4 plus 5 pi over 6. Again, you got to get a common denominator of 12. So 3/4 would become 9 pi over 12. 5/6 would be 10 pi over 12, and that whole thing is still divided by 2. Yikes. Second parentheses, again, we're going to change 3 pi over 4 to 9/12. We're going to change 5 pi over 6 to 10/12. all over 2. And hang on, I'm just making a little room here on my page. So that first set of parentheses, 9/12 plus 10/12 is 19/12. And if I take 19/12 and I divide that by 2, I'm actually going to get 19 pi over 24. I know, terrible, terrible number. Second set of parentheses, I got 9/12 minus 10/12 is minus pi over 12, right? But that's all over 2, so I'm going to get cosine of minus pi over 24. And again, we see again, the cosine of a negative, you could drop it out by the odd-even identities. So the final answer here is 2 times the cosine. 19 pi over 24 times the cosine of pi over 24. I know I went fast, but that's because I figured you could pause. I'm going to stop here.